Hey guys, welcome back to Life Learning with me. This is Term 1 Overview, Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1, I highly recommend it because I answer the most important questions that I could possibly think of that you might have for me. And I go through everything in a nutshell. This video is mostly for all the classes I have taken so far, like if they have an objective assessment, if they don't, if they have a performance assessment. I'm going to tell you what each of those was like for me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the class, and I'm going to give you some important tips. So this is just super helpful for you. Not everyone takes the same class. It really depends on your college or department. But I'm in the Teachers College, and I really feel like there needs to be a video or two about the different classes that people at the Teachers College take. Now, remember, if you've watched Part 1, you'll know that not everyone takes these type of classes in order. Everyone is really different as to what they take, but I think this will be really helpful for you if you do plan to take some of these classes for your first term. So let's get started. So the first class I took was Foundations of Education, or Educational Foundations. It took me like 2 to 3 weeks, but again, it depends on you, and I explained that in my Part 1 video. It does have notes. You don't have to take the notes. I did because I was really interested in taking the notes, and I still finished in about, I think, almost 2 weeks. So you don't have to take notes. They just want you to go you can just read it, you can kind of go through it, but you don't have to take any notes. I just did because I'm just a note taker at heart. I take notes on anything, really. 2 performance assessments for this course. This class is really about the history of education. In a nutshell, that's what it is. They start talking to you about how education first originated. 2 performance assessments I had to complete. The first one was I think I have it with me. So it's kind of like an observational stuff. And I think this is really good practice because futurely you're going to be going to different in-person and online observations. And I think this is good practice because they want to see if you'll be taking good observational notes. The next task, like a teacher interview. Basically, you have to find a teacher. It can be any teacher. You just can't do an administrative. Face-to-face, you can go, you can do an online meeting. That's kind of what I did because the teacher that I found was about an hour away, or the teacher that I knew. Write a paper about it. So I wrote, I had to answer questions, and some of the questions are in the material that I had to go through. The next class I took is C458. This is the Health, Fitness, Wellness class. I finished this class in about three weeks. I had an objective assessment, and I have to tell you, the notes was a little bit heavy, but you just have to set a pace. Use your timing. The objective assessment was mostly about, the class was really about like eating right, exercising, how to read a nutrition label on the back of a food item. It talked about a little bit about safety. It talked about how not to cross-contaminate foods when you're cooking. So it talks about like that. It talks about your body. It talked about, all the different body systems in your body. Talk to your instructor because that'll really help you to get through that course. All right, I had C100, which was Introduction to Humanities. This took about 3 to 4 weeks. I want to say it was really 4 weeks. It was a lot of stuff. Again, another heavy material class, but I really liked this class. I think this is one of the classes that was like a not education course that I actually enjoyed. It was a general course. I really enjoyed it. Try to find something in the class that you can enjoy because that is a really good motivator to finish a class. They do have an objective and performance assessment. This class is really like the history of art, religion, architecture, philosophy, literature, and theater, summed up in the course of 6 periods. You have classical period, Renaissance, Neoclassicism, which is like the Enlightenment period, in other words, the Romantic period, and the Realist period. Go to all the cohorts. Every cohort they ever give you, go to all of them. Just go, including the review sessions. Those review sessions have practice exam questions that you might see on your OA, and I actually did see a few of them, so I'm really glad I went to all of the review sessions, because I just, I ate it up, because I was just ready. Use their study guide they have for the notes. That's really important. They do have some like crossword puzzles. I don't recommend using that unless you want to just do it just for fun, but it won't help you study. It won't help you get through the class. Use flashcards. Quizlet has a lot of, if you look up WGU, you'll see Introduction to Humanities. Venn diagram to compare and contrast the different periods that you go through. Because this just helps a visual person like myself to see everything, to see the big picture, to see all the little details in between. You have to choose one of the works that they give you within each of the different periods. So choose one work and from one period. Provide some historical events, what was going on at that time for that work, or the person who created it. And then describe or give your analysis of that work. Describe how it contributes to humanity as a whole. I got an award for it. They do give you awards, and I think it's for when you really go above and beyond yourself on a particular assignment that you do. The next class I took was D125, Math for Elementary 1. That took me 3 weeks. There is an objective assessment. So the whole class is basically number theory, place value. It had like whole number, integers, things like that. Fractions, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, percentages, ratios, rates, and proportions. Tips for this course: use flashcards. I mean, don't use Quizlet. For me personally, I had to write down how to solve problems, and that really helped me. Practice using the worksheets they give you. They have some worksheets. Some instructors say that you don't have to really use them, but I did, just because after I finished a lesson, I practice a lot. Also, use the material. So in the course material, they already have some practice for you, and they give you feedback whether you got an answer right or wrong and why, which is important. Which I used. So I used that practice. I used the practice that they gave me, like the little worksheets. I just practice a lot. The more you practice for math, that's how you really learn how to do it, and it'll really prepare you for the OA. They have a live practice where you can meet up with any instructor. It doesn't have to be your own. And they'll go over problems with you, maybe that you don't understand, maybe that you've worked some of the practice problems and you just don't understand how to solve them. They will like send you a copy of what you worked on through your email, which I think is phenomenal, and it really helped me. Get familiar with your calculator. Now, I explained this in part 1. They have a list of calculators that you can use, but I found that this calculator was really helpful for this course. It's the TI-36X Pro. If you're confused and have questions about, what's the OA like for taking math, that is explained in my part 1 video, which I will link below. So the next class that I took was D094, Educational Psychology. This class took me 3 to 4 weeks. It does have an objective and a performance assessment. The performance assessment, you basically watch 4 observational videos, 1 elementary, 1 middle, 1 high school, and 1 special education. For each of the videos, you pick one of the developmental theories that you learned about and describe how it describes students in each video. And then you also pick one learning theory that you learn about and talk about how the teacher uses it and in each video, and what kind of strategy does she use from that learning theory. So just to kind of give you an example, I don't want to stress you out, but there are videos and live cohorts for this. If you're still confused, go to those because that really helped me. go to any live cohorts, as I said again, because they will break it all down for you and answer any questions that you may have. For the objective assessment, use their interactive notebooks. It's really cool. They have some interactive notebooks for you. I really use that. Attend any of the live cohorts. Use flashcards, and I highly recommend reviewing daily. The next class I took was C-121, Survey of United States History. I completed this course in 2 weeks, and the reason is because it has 4 performance assessments. This class was like an open book test. Don't stress about formatting or anything like that. I mean, you still want to make it look nice and professional, but you're basically just giving a short response to each question that they ask you. Use the task guides that they give you. They have 4 task guides for each assignment, and it has like instructional videos from instructors. They kind of break down the requirements for you, and the study guide itself breaks down the whole thing again for you and how you can complete it. So I think it's very helpful. The next class I took was C-683, Natural Science Lab. You won't believe this, but I finished that class in 2 days. It was really easy. It wasn't complicated at all. You just choose an experiment that you want to do, and you just write a small lab report about it. It's nothing fancy. You don't have to have a cover page. You don't have to have like an abstract or anything like that. You do have to do some research on the topic you choose from. And I think it's because this helps you write your research question and then your hypothesis. You do have to list certain variables. You do have to list like control variable, things like that. I included pictures in the experiment I did. It had a lot of like experiments that you could do. Some experiments included things like planting seeds, boiling water, magnets. I just chose the gummy bear because I felt it was something that, I remember kind of doing, and I had a little experience on it. The next class I took was C-375, Survey of World History. Again, that was 2 weeks, very similar to U.S. history, 4 performance assessments, like an open book test. Use the task guides. It has instructional videos, and it breaks everything down for you. The last class I will talk to you about today is C-456, English Composition 2. For this course, you have 2 performance assessments. You're writing an argumentative research paper from a topic that you choose based on your column. The first task is an annotated bibliography. Use the course material because it'll help you understand how to do this, and they also have live cohorts for this as well. Have like 8 to 10 sources, and task 2 itself is the paper. So you don't have to include the annotated bibliography at all. But you do have to write an argumentative essay. So you have to have an introduction. You have to have paragraphs based on the points that you have for your stance on that topic. Then you have to have a conclusion, and then that's really it. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me in this video. I hope you guys have a great day, and stay tuned for more videos.